The time is 7:01 p.m. and the date is Tuesday, April 13, 2021. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates. The alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are members Ms. Lisa Carson, Mr. Joe Cross, Ms. Kay Towsley, and alternates are Mr. Aaron, actually Mr. Thomas is not here yet, but Mr. Robert Dulac will be a voting member tonight. I am John Golsey, the chair. Also present are the zoning administrator, Mr. David Riggs, and secretary, Ms. Carrie Yake, as well as the government channel team. The board operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding summary or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code Section 230703B, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code Section 230710C, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact based directly on the particular evidence presented to it that the standards and conditions imposed in the title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. And those are exceptional circumstances, practical difficulty and undue hardship, preservation of equal property rights, minimum variance, absence of detriment, and not being of a general nature. Any person, resident or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens aggrieved by a decision of the board may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. There's only one case tonight on the agenda, and that is the property at 52 Depot Street. The board is required to take testimony under oath. Applicants, their representatives, and public members who wish to speak concerning any item on the agenda, please unmute your microphone and state, I do, to the question, do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, very good. We assume anybody who is testifying is under oath. Okay, let's go to case 21-03V. The address is 52 Depot Street. Zone is R3. Mr. Richard Schultz is the appellant. Appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 23-1001, Table A, bulk controls, to allow a minimum lot width of 40 feet, where 60 feet is the required. To allow a rear setback of 19 feet where 40 feet is required, to allow lot coverage of 71%, where 60% is the maximum allowed for new construction of 4 two-bedroom apartments with 8 parking spaces. So, Mr. Riggs, anything you would like to add before we hear from the appellant?
Yeah, good evening, Councilor Chairman Gulsey. The appellant has got 2 parcels on this lot, and it's a very odd-shaped lot. It is actually part of the old town, so the existing code for the minimum lot width, these lots were platted long before that happened. And then what they're trying to do is they've got some space in the back, and they're trying to utilize that space.
If I remember correctly, in the past when they proposed like maybe 8 parking space, we would consider 8 times 180 square feet, which in this case becomes 1,440, but they have 3,200 calculated. Is that covers like anything else? Mr. Riggs?
Yeah, that should include the parking and the building both on there. You're going to see a little bit bigger parking square footage because it's angled parking instead of 90-degree parking. That causes the spaces to be a little bit larger. But I believe that impervious count is the building and the parking.
Okay, I thought maybe 3,200 was too much, twice as big maybe. Yes, go ahead.
Can I say something on that? The 3,200 or 3,800 includes not only the parking, but the drive to access the parking lots. Also includes the sidewalk and the dumpster pad.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
The building itself is 32% of the coverage, so.
Correct.
Yeah. Any questions for the code office from the members? No? Okay. Well, Mr. Schultz, would you state your name and address for the records and state your case, please?
Okay. My name is Richard Schultz. My last name is spelled S-H-U-L-T-Z. My address is 41228 Gibson Ridge Road, Albany, Ohio, 45710. And so I can begin the dialogue here by saying that we had submitted a previous plan to the code office. They reviewed it. Our lot coverage as far as the building was concerned was larger, and we had less of a setback. They returned it to us. I went in, I shrank the footprint of the building so we could have a 19-foot and 20-foot rear setback. I brought the lot coverage down under the 40% for the building, and we changed the parking to angle to, initially we had 10 spaces, but we changed it to an angle parking so there was better maneuverability to get in and out of those spaces, and reduced it to 8. That still meets the minimum code for the apartments. I've looked at a couple of ways of putting a building on this site. I believe this is the best use of the site for a building that would have apartments that have good living area, nice, good-sized bedrooms, some balconies, and I would just say, when you look at the drawing and look at the site, it's extremely difficult to fit things on there and meet the city code with a non-conforming lot. Did you want me to?
No, I got a question, and then I'm going to ask the members if they have any questions. When you submitted the original plan, and obviously it would have been refused, as the second one did. So what made you think that the reduction that you made was any improvement, and why didn't you submit the original for the zoning board?
Well, because the original, let me say this, the building initially was 98 feet long, so I took 2 feet out of each proposed apartment, and reduced the overall length by 8 feet. That increased that setback that initially was 11 feet to 19 at the smallest dimension. I thought it was just an improvement to show that we're trying to do the best job we can to fit on the site.
Okay. Okay, but you weren't under the impression that the second time is going to go, right?
That's what we're hoping, yes.
Okay, all right. Any questions for Mr. Schultz from the board members?
I'm curious what the square footage is for each of the apartments. Do you have that number?
We're at 36 by 22. I think we're about 7. Let me just recalculate it here. So we're 792 per floor, and they're 2-story apartments. So we're about just under 1,500, just under 1,600 square feet per apartment.
That's a good size. That's more than I thought you could have fit in there. That's interesting.
Any other questions? In your narrative on item number 4, minimum variance, you mentioned that the variance requested is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. So why would the 4 units be the reasonable number? Why not 3?
Okay, well, the site development, this project will require at least 300 feet of retaining wall to create the parking and the building foundation. The hope is that the retaining walls where the building sits will also be the foundation for the building. So to reduce it to 3 units, it doesn't reduce the development costs of the site by any great measure. So the initial site development cost will be close to the same.
Okay. Any questions from the board members? Mm-hmm. I have one last question, or actually observation. In your deed, I think there's a couple of easement or right-of-way for the neighbors for egress and ingress. Are this going to be affecting any of that?
No, it'll be a common driveway.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So can I follow up on that?
Sure.
I did notice from the air photos that the current driveway appears to be mostly, at least the beginning of it, mostly on the other property next door. And I was wondering how that was going to work. And it sounds like there's a driveway being created here that's going to be shared between that property and this, and that solves that problem?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request? Scott or Ryan, if you see anyone raising their hand, please let me know. Anyone?
We don't have anybody in attendance at the moment.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard now. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard now. Dan, you? I guess he doesn't want to speak on opposition. Okay. Any final words, Mr. Schultz?
No, I don't think so, unless people have additional questions. I think we're good with our proposal.
Okay. Would anyone would like to make a motion?
I can do that, John.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. I move to grant a variance to the property at 52 Depot Street from ACC 23-1001, Table A bulk controls, to allow a minimum lot width of 40 feet where 60 feet is required, to allow a rear setback of 19 feet where 40 is required, and to allow lot coverage is 71%, where 60 is the maximum allowed.
Do we have a second? Okay, Rob, please just say yes so that audio would show. Rob would be second. Kay made the motion. Okay, exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. I think the shape of the lot, actually the lot is more than the average size of the 8,000 square feet required. It's about 10,000. So it's larger, but the shape is such that in any way you set up the buildings, I believe that you're going to have a setback problems. Am I correct, Mr. Schultz?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I tried to maybe move it around a little bit anyway, but I couldn't come up with anything. So any other comment about the exceptional circumstances? Anyone? No? Practical difficulty and undue hardship. The exceptional circumstances does create an issue in here. Although I still think that with a smaller project, that may not be a problem. The property can be utilized as is, as you know, maybe with a smaller footprint. Practical difficulty, and we talked about that. Preservation of equal property rights. I didn't see too many neighbors around there, and this is at the end of the street. I don't think it would affect the neighborhood much, and I would consider it to be a minimum variance. Again, absence of detriment. We don't have anyone objecting tonight to this project, so it seems it should be okay. Is this a general nature? No?
No.
Are we ready to vote? Let me go to Kay first. Kay?
I vote yes.
You vote yes. Lisa?
I vote yes.
Rob?
I vote yes.
Joe?
I vote yes, John.
And I will vote yes as well. Mr. Schultz, and you have the variance 5-0.
Thank you. We greatly appreciate it. And
Good luck. I like to see the finished products.
Yeah, it looks like a good project.
Yeah.
It does. It really does.
well, thank you.
Thanks, Guy. You have a good evening.
Okay, we have just a small business to take care of, and that is.
We're all
this-
done, John.
Okay.
You're done.
You don't want to stay to listen to the rest of it?
You don't want to hear us vote on the minutes or anything?
No, you just go in there and party now. Okay, disposition of minutes from February 9, 2021. And Ms. Kay Yake, you send us an update. Lisa, you made some corrections, I believe. And
guess I
then
did, yeah.
it looks good to me.
Yeah, I'd say it's hard to capture all the conversation that went on in that meeting. It was a lot of droning on and on. So I think it was about as good as you could capture that. So.
Yeah, I think they're making a transcript anyway. So the recordings are complete. So do we have a motion to accept the minutes of February 9?
So
Yeah.
moved. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Joe said yes, and then second.
a second.
Okay, Lisa, second. All in favor? Wave. All opposed? Don't wave. Okay. Is there anything else we'd like to discuss? Do we have any other cases lined up for next month? Miss Ye?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We do have some people. I think Trent DeBruin is trying to get something through so it can be denied, and then they want to bring that to the BZA.
Okay. When is the last deadline for applying for next month?
Offhand, I don't have it. I have it written. It's usually a couple weeks before.
Before the meeting? Okay.
Like 2 weeks on Tuesday. So the next meeting.
Okay.
Let's see here.
That's okay. I can, yeah.
I think it'll be the 20th.
Oh, okay.
It'll be the deadline, and the 11th will be the meeting.
Okay. I haven't decided yet, but I might bring a case myself.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. So
Okay.
I have a question, sort of procedure. I'm curious. I noticed that the planning committee for city council was reviewing a proposal for a fence to be installed in the right of way. So they need some kind of approval from city council for that. Seems as though that should be something that would invoke the BZA, though, maybe. I'm not really sure why it hasn't come here, or will it come here if council approves it? Do you have any idea about that, Carrie?
Offhand, I do not. I know if it's in the right of way, the city council needs to vote on that and take it in front of that. I don't know if that needs to go first or not. I'm not sure if Mr. Riggs is still on or not, and he can answer that.
Yeah, I can respond to that.
Okay.
If a fence is larger than 6 feet in height, then it's considered a structure and the setbacks would kick in. If it's less than 6 feet, then there's other requirements. But if a fence is less than 6 feet, they could put it in the right of way and not have to get a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Okay, and I believe it is a 6 foot tall fence, so it's
They would
underneath
have
the
to get
threshold.
both.
Got it. Now I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Ryan. And we're adjourned.